Hello and welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. Hope everyone is doing well. Today we are going to be talking about Janet Smith case. If I pronounce anything wrong, I do apologize. Janet Smith was born in Perth, Scotland on June 25th, 1902 to railway firemen Arthur Mitchell Tuner Smith and Joanna Benzies. The family moved to London when she was aged 11. In January 1923, Smith obtained a position taking care of the newborn daughter of Frederick and Doreen Baker. Frederick Baker ran an import-export business. When the family moved first to Paris in April, then in October back to Vancouver, Smith accompanied them. The Bakers were among the social elite of Vancouver. They lived on the fashionable West Side, then moved in May 1924 into the house of Frederick's brother Richard Plunkett Baker at 3851 Osler in the exclusive Shaughnessy Heights neighborhood. The Chinese houseboy married, arrived in Canada in 1913, leaving family in Hong Kong. 25 or 27-year-old Wong Foon Sing became infatuated with Smith, giving her presents such as a silk nightdress. Her friends would later testify that she feared him. July 26, 1924, Point Grey Police Constable James Green was called to the house. Wong claimed he heard what sounded like a car backfire. In the basement, he found Smith's body. There was a bullet wound through her temple and a .45 caliber revolver near her right hand. Green picked up the weapon, making it impossible to obtain fingerprints from it. Despite there being no bullet, blood or brain tissue on the walls, no powder burns on her face, and the fact that the back of her head had been smashed in, Green concluded that she had committed suicide. After an inquest, the Vancouver coroner called it a self-inflicted but accidental death. Undertakers were summoned and instructed by both the coroner and the police to embalm the body, like eradicating any clues that it might have yielded. For instance, whether Smith had been sexually assaulted. It was the first time the undertaker had embalmed the victim of a violent death without a post-mortem. He found unexplained burns on Smith's right side. Smith was buried at Mountain View Cemetery in the 1919 section bordered by 41st Ave and Prince Edward Street. Smith's friends contacted the recently formed United Council of Scottish Societies, which pressured the provincial government and Attorney General Alexander Malcolm Manson to reopen the case. The Vancouver Star, a scandal sheet published by Victor Odlum, was quick to pounce on the affair. An additional inducement of Odlum was that the enemy of his, General A.D. McRae, was the father of Frederick Baker's sister-in-law. The body was exhumed on August 28th and a second inquest held. This time the jury concluded that Smith had been murdered. Manson appointed a special prosecutor, Malcolm Bruce Jackson. Suspicion immediately fell on Wong and the only other person in the house other than the baker's baby, Rosemary, when the crime was supposedly committed. The Star published several articles in late July and early August in which it had portrayed Wong as a likely killer. Interest gradually died down until on March 20th, 1925, Wong was kidnapped by a group of men dressed as Ku Klux Klan robes. They proceeded to torture their captive for 6 weeks, trying to elicit a confession, but Wong refused to cooperate. On May 1st, he was released. A scandal later developed when it was discovered that the kidnappers included 2 Point Grey police commissioners, the chief of police, a detective sergeant, and 3 prominent officials of the city's Scottish societies. The group had also enlisted the translation services of Wong Foon Sing, whose participation elicited outrage amongst both Chinese Canadians and Anglophones in the community because he was also working for a detective agency investigating the case. One man pleaded guilty for kidnapping. A detective and his son were also convicted, but the jury gave a strong recommendation of mercy. The Point Grey policemen were acquitted, and the government controversy bared prosecution of the others. As it turned out, Manson knew where Wong was being held, but did nothing about it, hoping that the torture would solve the case. Instead, Manson's career was severely damaged by the revelation of his inaction. Meanwhile, Wong was put on trial for murder. In October, the case was thrown out of court due to lack of evidence. Wong went back to work for the Bakers. In 1926, he left the country for Hong Kong or China. As for Janet Smith, her cause of death was changed to homicide, but no real suspect ever came about. Thank you for listening. If you like this type of content, please consider subscribing and liking to my channel, and I will see you on the next one.